Okay, here's help to get started on or clarify steps possibly for some if you didn't catch week one's podcast on this, on XAMPP, file structure for your local. So let's first of all talk about XAMPP. When you downloaded XAMPP, in the podcast for week one, went over what to start. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can start, but the only two things you need to start is Apache and MySQL. If you do get a prompt from your Windows or Mac computer to allow it. Also on the Windows machines, you might get a prompt to check mark private network. You can check that as well. But anyway, you'll notice when they're running, it's green in the background for MySQL and Apache. You can launch it within the app. The way I recommend, though, as soon as you run Apache and MySQL, is just to minimize it. And then when you go to, if you went in the Getting Started files, there was a Getting Started file you could download for a template, I believe, which was right here on downloading it. When you download it, it said to download it and uncompress it and move it to the Web290 folder in your XAMPP directory. So move the Web290 folder in the XAMPP directory. In the XAMPP directory, when you install on Windows, it's going to put it in the C directory in a XAMPP folder. Here's my C drive, and XAMPP is what it created. And when I downloaded that zip file from this link here and extracted it, let me show you here. There's the web290.zip. It's going to create a Web290 copy or something file, Web290 folder, I'm sorry. Once you unzip it, there it is, a Web290 one. That Web290 folder has a number of folders and files here. You just move it right into the XAMPP directory. So I'll go back to my XAMPP directory, C XAMPP, and it's in the htdocs. That's the root of your local host. And I just moved it right into that XAMPP htdocs directory, which I told you to do in week one. Inside of that is labs, pages, and projects. The two you'll be playing with for sure each week will be the projects and labs. The labs you don't have to turn in, as far as you don't have to upload them in Eagle, but I do recommend doing the labs. A lot of them are just downloading and running, see how they look and run. Projects, though, you will be testing locally and then uploading, compressing and uploading it into RVC Eagle. So you'll notice in week in the projects folder, I've got week 2 in there with a hello who and an index.php. To get to, once I've started the XAMPP Apache MySQL, Apache lets me actually do a local host within the web browser, and MySQL, which we've not used yet, is actually going to let me build a database, which we'll do in the next week or two. So if I go to, I'm in, I believe, Chrome here, I can just type in localhost once XAMPP is running. And if it's the first time, it'll ask you, if you want to be English or whatever language, you should have selected English. But to get to that Web290 folder, all I have to do is replace dashboard here, which it redirects on the XAMPP installation, Web290, and it's going to bring that. That's what the template looks like. And if I go to homework, there's week 2. If I click at a week 3 and on, nothing's going to exist because I've not put anything in there. But week 2, which is this week, I'll walk you through, brings up that week 2 exercise on passing a reference variable via URL, where you click on Paul, and by putting question marks, Beetle equals Paul, it's going to say hello Paul, John, hello John, George, hello George, and Ringo, hello Ringo. This is just showing how it runs successfully on a local host. Once you're finished with your project for your homework, basically you would, take this project, this week 2 project, which I give you to download as an example, which I do each week, and manipulate it. And I'm just giving this as an example. Week 2 here is an example for you. So let's go to week 2 homework. And it says here to do some reading, which you definitely should do the reading before you do the exercise. Create your own version of the below example, which is the Ringo, John one I just showed you, the Greeting Beatles. You can use names of your favorite bands, your food, whatever. Download the exercise, which I've already done. Create a new folder in your local XAMPP website for week 2, which I've already done. And then once you're finished, compress it and zip it. So I'm going to go ahead and use Notepad++ because I'm on a Windows machine here. I've already got the 2 files open from that week 2, which is index.php, which is the first file, first web page people see, and the hello-who.php, which is one it's directed to on the links. So right now it says reading the Beatles. Choose a Beatle. It goes to that hello-who.php file, and here is passing a reference Beatle equals whatever on all 4 of the links. The first link is going to give a value for Beatle, Paul, second John, third George, fourth Ringo. When it goes to the hello who page, you'll notice in the PHP code it does a get command to get the value of Beatle, puts it in the Beatle variable. It also echoes that Beatle variable value in the title of the web page for hello-who.php, and it echoes hello whatever Beatle it was that was suggested as a value here as well. So if I go back here to the beginning page here just to show you how easy this is, I'm going to say instead of greeting the Beatles, I'm going to say greeting rock and roll bands or something. Greeting rock and roll bands. So choose a rock and roll band. And I'm going to leave the pages the same. Page hello who. Instead of Beatle equals Paul, John, Ringo, George and Ringo, I'm going to do band equals, and I'm going to put some bands in here. So we'll do AC/DC, I'll just copy and paste on all these. I will have to replace the value of band. So if AC/DC, then we'll do Eagles, then we'll do Chicago, then we'll do local Cheap Trick here. Save it. I'm going to go back to the hello who. And instead of Beatle here, I'm going to replace Beatle with band all throughout the page. Again, this just, you're editing the existing just to show you how it's done. And in Notepad++ and even in other telesense, it'll pop up and remember that variable name. So I'm going to save it. Go back to my local host for week 2. And I'm going to have to change the links, which I forgot to do, on the index. Links are done, but the band names were not changed. Beatles names were not changed to bands. So once I do that, we should see the final result. Then I'll show you how to compress and zip this folder and upload it. While I'm doing this, also mention you do not have to upload the external site each week. That's just, again, an optional. You will be required to do it for your final site at the end of the semester, but right now I would just say do it for practice and see if you can get it done. And I do have at the bottom of all the homework assignments a link on helping you with the podcast on uploading. But you're not required to submit those each week, but you are required to submit the completed assignment, which in this week is converting the Beatle pass by reference to whatever you want as a pass by reference. I'm going to save that. That's not what it was. It was, I forgot to change Beatle to band. And I'm going to put that special character back. So hello AC/DC, hello Eagles, hello Chicago, go back, hello Cheap Trick. So that's completed. Now I'm going to go back to my folder structure here for week 2. Going back to the beginning of my projects. I'll go back even further for you. My XAMPP directory, htdocs, and that's the root of your site. When you first load XAMPP, it's going to go to this. It's going to redirect to this dashboard, which is a XAMPP installation. But we put everything in the Web290. Projects, week 2. I'm going to right-click and send to compressed. And week 2 is what I'll upload into the week 2 assignment. And I'll do the same as I've just shown you for weeks 3 and on. Again, to recap, XAMPP only needs to start Apache and MySQL. If you do get a prompt from Windows or Mac, allow all when you're installing XAMPP. Secondly, I would recommend using the structure I had in week 1, getting started, which was the download template in week 1, if you didn't already do that, for the template for Web234. It just creates a nice structure, and you're supposed to move that Web290 folder into the root of your htdocs. It'll create a nice structure for your projects from here on out. So that's the one that you download, and it'll give you this nice template. The projects for each week, you'll then be able to either, when you download the example projects for weeks 3 and on, you'll put it in this projects folder, because the links that are made for the week's projects, if you hover over it, like this one here, shows at the bottom of my web page, week 3, all put together, lowercase. This one here is week 4, week 5, so on and so forth. So just make sure your folder matches the link, and it should take you right to that project. Once you're finished with the project, you will then compress the folder that project's in, and then that zipped file will be the one that's uploaded. So hopefully that helps get started and clarifies any issues some of you might have. Again, I know this was embedded in week 1, but this should help you get started and get on the right track.